Well, there's your problem. Hey, what's up YouTube? Dan the Fix-It Man. Got another quick video here for you. I'm going to show you how to replace your lower ball joints, including your entire lower control arm on a 2014 Mazda 3. If you need to test your ball joint, you can just grab a little pry bar and put it in through here and just pry on that. You shouldn't have any play here at all. Now, the ball joint's completely worn out, but these are really replaced as a part of the whole lower control arm. Now, there's also a rubber bushing here in the end, and a lot of times these will wear out and crack or break as well. Now, here's the replacement that we got. We're gonna go ahead and do both sides. We're gonna start with the driver's side, which is a little bit harder because the transmission's in the way. Now, there's three main bolts that hold these on. The one right here is the hardest to get to, and I'll show you how to do that. We're gonna take off this lower engine cover in a minute, and then the other two that just go up straight through here, and the lower ball joint has another bolt that holds it in place, or it's mounted here to the knuckle. But let's go ahead and take off the bottom cover first. For that, you're going to need a 10mm socket and maybe a little plastic trim tool. There's a lot of these 10mm bolts that hold this lower engine cover on all the way around, and then there's also a few of these plastic snaps. So we're going to go ahead and remove all of those and then take this bottom cover off. That's going to give us access to the front bolt that holds the front part of the lower control arms on. By the way, I do have this supported just underneath the subframe. I've got a couple jack stands, but I still have the jack over here on the pinch weld as well, so it's nice and solid. We're very safe down here. If you've got a lift, it'll make this a lot easier. And over here we've got this little plastic snap. They come out pretty easy. We're missing the cover here for the oil filter access, but that's okay. Just need to take off the snaps that hold the perimeter of the shield up. And then the last bolt on this side. Okay, we got all the bolts and snaps out of the way. Should just be able to drop this cover down, and we'll set that out of the way. Now we can remove this bolt right here that goes through the front part of the control arm. That was not really exposed until we took off this lower engine cover. Now this is a 19mm socket that you'll need to get on here to remove this, and these are really difficult to get to. You can even see there's kind of a little cutout here, but a lot of people have a hard time getting a regular socket or wrench in there. Now it's really all about having the right tool. So this right here you can see is a double universal joint. It's a 1/2" impact double universal joint from Koken. Just going to put a 19mm impact socket on there from Koken as well, and that should be able to get us access in there to take that off without any problem at all. I've got a short extension on here too, but look how much room you have to flex around something like this. So you don't have to take off the subframe, you don't have to lift up the engine. We can get in here with this. If you've got a nice impact like this is a 2767. Let's see if we can break this loose. Got it. No problem at all. Now, this isn't something I'm using every day, but I can tell you that was worth the price of this tool. I'll get a link in the description. Now, I do have a coupon code for Koken. They are a sponsor of my channel. Let's go remove the other two in the back, and then we'll take off that ball joint, and we should be good to go. Now, these here are also 19mm head. I'm just going to use the impact and zip these out as well. Only got some water on that one. Water and mud, we'll get that cleaned up. Now take note to the lengths and the sizes here. They're different on all three, so you really can't mess them up, but the shortest one is inboard. This one here goes on the outside, and then the other one that we took off goes in the front. All right, and then we can take out this bolt right here, which is gonna release our lower ball joint. It's a 14mm. I'm just gonna hold the head of the bolt steady with a 14mm wrench. Let's see if I can get the impact on here. And that just came straight out, which is great. There, I just pried on the sway bar and got that loose. If you have to, you can hit it with a hammer, but you got it out. All right, now once you have the ball joint out or loose, we can pull the back part away from the car. We can pry it against the subframe if we need to. And then just wiggle it out the rest of the way. Well, I could feel that bushing when we took this out. It's really damaged and broken, but more importantly, take a look at our ball joint. Yeah, that's really bad. Now the new one here is from TRQ. Comes with this little protective cover here. You can see the new ball joint. You can't even move it. It's nice and stiff. And here's our new bushing, all molded together, one piece. Looks good. By the way, these are stamped with an L or an R. Of course, L for left side, or in our case, driver side in the US. All right, I'm just gonna try to put this in the same way the old one came out. Just kind of starting with the front, and then this one, just kind of wiggle that up. I'm just gonna use a rubber mallet and tap this one in a little bit farther. That looks good right about there. All right, now let's get those bolts started. You can see the opening right there. It's actually pretty easy to pull on this and line that up. All right, let's see if we can get it started. Just be careful with this, don't force it. You just don't want to damage the threads. Kind of wiggle it as we go until we get it in there. Try to get that started by hand first. Okay, I got this front one started by hand. Now I have my impact set at the lowest possible setting. This is just to turn this in and snug it up a little bit. Perfect. Don't overdo these because we need to torque that when we're sitting on the ground. Otherwise you can twist that bushing and cause it to squeak or may even damage it prematurely. All right, and then I cleaned up these bolts here. We can put them back in. This long one goes here. Again, I'm really recommending that you start these by hand if you can, because you can strip these out and it really becomes a big problem. Let's do this one here as well. Now, once we have the vehicle sitting on its own weight, we can torque these. These aren't as critical because it's not the actual rotation of the bushing. That's right here in the control arm. So we could probably torque these now, but I'm just gonna wait until I have the weight of the vehicle back down. What I'll probably do is just put a jack underneath this lower control arm, lift that up, take the weight off of this or rotate it, and then I'll torque everything to spec, and we should be good to go. I'm just gonna snug these up real quick with the impact on the lowest setting. All right, and then we need to line up our ball joint here, which shouldn't be too bad. Just try to push that in place, line it up. Just don't push on this rubber boot with any tools or anything, or you'll damage it. But these are sealed, by the way, so there's no grease necessary. Let's just see if we can get it to get started in there. Okay, we almost had it. All right, we just need to push this ball joint straight up into this right here, and it's not really cooperating right now. Now I know I could probably pound something here in the back to separate this a little bit, but first I'm going to make sure it's nice and clean with this little brass wire wheel. I'm just going to try to lube this up as well, just to make sure that we're not binding up on anything. All right, let's give it a try here. It should just slide right in, and it's not wanting to. I think we're gonna have to use something to pry this apart. I'm just gonna try to drive this open just a little bit with this chisel. Now my audio cut out for a minute, but really that chisel was the key to splitting that open or holding that open enough so that I could tap the ball joint in. I was just really careful, just use a rubber mallet, and then that was enough to open it up. And then I also just used the jack here with a piece of wood, and that pushed the ball joint all the way through right there. You can see that it settled right there. And then I decided to go ahead and just keep lifting it so that the weight of the vehicle was resting on that so that I could torque everything to spec. You'll see right here the piece of wood split, but still worked fine. Now I also lost the footage of me putting in the ball joint bolt here, but just make sure you get that put back together. I'm just playing it back here in reverse for you, but torque that to 27 to 31 foot-pounds. Now the torque on this front bolt that I found online said 158 to 191 foot-pounds. I'm gonna go with 180. Feels like it's just gonna roll off the head of that bolt. I wish there was something I could prop in there like this. I don't know if that'll help, but we'll give it a try here. We got it. Well, that sure was not easy, but that pry bar trick really helped. All right, now the two in the back here, they're different torque specs. So this one here should be anywhere from 101 to 126, and the other one here is 74 to 89 foot-pounds. And that's pretty much it. Of course, we do need to put the bottom cover back on, but I'm going to replace the lower control arm and ball joint over on the passenger side as well. That side's a little bit easier because that bolt right there is a lot easier to get to compared to this one over here. This side was a lot harder. That's why I chose to film this side. Having the right tool for the job really makes things go a little bit smoother. I hope you liked the video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you don't mind. That does help me out. I'll get a link in the description where you can pick up these exact same lower control arms with the ball joints, along with some of the other parts and tools used in the video as well. Now, I also just replaced the struts on this same vehicle, so I'll get a link in the description to that video as well. Thanks so much for watching, and good luck.